Waitress stunned after 3 men asked to settle their bill in private. For some restaurant service staff, checking out the final bill can be a small source of anxiety. After all, your financial well-being depends on how much money diners leave behind as a tip. That's why Ashley Latella felt her stomach drop when 3 strange male diners asked to settle their bill away from prying eyes of other guests. She never could have predicted the aftermath. While waitressing at the Sea Grape Cafe, Ashley Latella felt uneasy when she first saw the 3 men enter. It was just a gut feeling. They were much older than the usual college student crowd. She knew she had a job to do though and went over to grab their order. At first, she attributed the nerves to stress. It was the holiday season after all, and college students in Fairfield, Connecticut were letting loose after a long semester, and the Sea Grape Cafe was a self-proclaimed college kids meeting place. As the night wore on though, Ashley realized her uneasiness was about more than seasonal nerves. For the most part, the 3 diners' ages was what stood out in the sea of kids, but they put in order after order, and Ashley noticed they seemed to keep a close watch on her. Were they going to dine and dash? There wasn't an age limit on that possibility. What unnerved Ashley even more was what these 3 older diners did when she approached them. Their conversation suddenly went quiet. Were they talking about her? With the other tables, she tried not to worry about the men. She didn't have time to dwell on their behavior. Others in the restaurant noticed them too. Ashley's manager, Carlos Carmo, pictured here, planned to keep an eye on them, but with the busy night, his mind went to different matters. A split check gone wrong, food not cooked to a customer's satisfaction. The 3 men weren't making a scene or acting overly inappropriate. Slowly, they slipped from Carlos's mind. A few times, Ashley was tempted to pass the table off to a male co-worker. That way, she hopefully wouldn't be ogled at as she did her job. The men didn't make any rude comments, however. They just watched and lingered. She kept serving them, a decision that would change her life. As her night shift neared its end, Ashley soon became distracted with finishing up her other tables. Checks were settled and tips were collected. Like many waiters during a non-stop shift, Ashley was ready to clock out and head home. When the table of 3 men signaled for their check, Ashley was quick to get it. Ashley presented the check, but when she returned to collect their payment, one of the men held the check close to his chest. He wouldn't let Ashley have the bill. Instead, both the man and his friend stood up and motioned towards the kitchen. The odd request made Ashley even more uneasy. There were witnesses in the kitchen, right? What could possibly go wrong? The men spoke to her as they left the table, but she couldn't hear them over the noise. Finally, she spotted her manager. Carlos Carmano was instantly reminded of his initial thoughts on the 3 men. When Ashley caught his attention, she explained what the customers wished to do. Carlos decided he would join her, and the small party made their way to the kitchen. There, in privacy, the customers revealed the check. In the kitchen, the 3 men confirmed they'd been watching Ashley, but it had not been with any ill intentions. They recognized the tough work the waitress had been doing all night long. When she shared the check, they finally showed what they wanted. The customers belonged to a group called Tips for Jesus. Members wanted to give back to individuals they felt needed the extra boost around the holidays. They believed they were passing along the love of God as well. The Sea Grape Cafe was simply one stop of many. The men were traveling throughout the country, finding restaurants and hardworking staff to tip big. According to the Daily Forest, the group had shelled out over $11,000 in tips that year. Waiters thought the area shared their own overwhelming experiences like Ashley had, so how much did they really leave her? The bill had ended up being a little over $100. Stunned, Latella saw the tip that the customers left behind was for $500. After viewing Latella's hard work, they wanted to gift her something extra. Latella was elated until she realized she'd actually misread the tip. It wasn't actually for $500. Ashley Latella's work during that shift earned her a $5,000 tip from the 3 men. After the shock of it went away and she and Carlos found out why customers at the student-filled Sea Grab Cafe were dishing out such a hefty gratuity, Ashley knew exactly what to do with the money. The customers were selfless with their money, so Ashley realized she had to return the favor. Instead of keeping the $5,000, she decided to pay it forward. She took a trip into town and went to the toy store. She loaded up her shopping cart for her own special cause. The bountiful amount of toys Ashley purchased went to Al's Angels. The charity had been helping children for over 20 years, guiding young ones going through cancer, rare blood diseases, and the financial strain it put their parents under. The toys were given to children who needed some happiness. Long before her shift that night, Ashley was already handing over donations to the charity. From toys to non-perishable food, she wanted to do her part in helping the cause. With the arrival of the 3 customers, Ashley finally found her opportunity to offer the charity an even bigger donation. The selflessness of Tips for Jesus had continued. On Instagram, a page dedicated to the Tips for Jesus had shared photos of servers holding up their prized checks. American Express was used to transfer the money, and several times the customers added their phone number to the bill. Nothing would stop them from making sure the money all went through. Ashley Latella was just one of the many restaurant staff members whose stressful workload was appreciated. The social media page has posts dating back to 2013. Since then, countless servers have discovered the financial surprise Ashley did. Waiters are on their feet all day, dealing with drama from the kitchen and from the customers. It can be tough to keep your cool, especially when you're making a living off tips. As Ashley knew, nightmare customers have a chance to completely waste your time and hurt your pockets, and can change your life in the worst ways.